Habit stacking for prosperity. Building a routine that supports a 7-figure lifestyle. Introduction. Your habits are your financial architecture. Every financial outcome in your life is downstream of your daily behaviors, the investments that grow, the skills that compound, the relationships that open doors, the work that creates value. All of these are products of repeated choices, executed consistently over time. This is not a motivational observation. It is a structural one. Your financial trajectory is largely determined not by the dramatic decisions you make occasionally, but by the ordinary behaviors you execute every day, most of them without conscious thought. This is why understanding habit formation, and specifically the strategy of habit stacking, is not just a productivity topic. It is a wealth topic. Habit stacking is the practice of linking new behaviors to existing ones, creating chains of high-value behaviors that execute automatically without requiring decision-making energy or willpower at each step. When designed intentionally, these habit stacks become the daily architecture of a prosperous life. Chapter 1. The Neuroscience of Habit and Wealth. Before we dive into the practice of habit stacking, it is worth understanding why habits are such a powerful lever for financial outcomes. The habit loop. Habits are stored differently in the brain than deliberate decisions. They live in the basal ganglia, a region associated with procedural memory and automatic behavior, rather than in the prefrontal cortex, where conscious, deliberate decision-making occurs. This is enormously significant. Habits execute without depleting the cognitive resources that are required for conscious decision-making. They are essentially free from a mental bandwidth perspective. Once a behavior is habituated, it runs on autopilot. This means that every high-value behavior you convert from a deliberate choice into an automatic habit is one more behavior that happens reliably without competing for the limited cognitive resources you need for your most important work. Compound behavior effects. The parallel between compound interest and compound behavior is not just metaphorical. It is structural. Small, consistent actions, when executed daily, produce results that are disproportionately large relative to any individual action. The person who reviews their finances for 15 minutes every morning accumulates, over a year, 90 hours of engaged financial attention. The person who spends 15 minutes daily on skill development accumulates nearly 100 hours of deliberate practice each year. These are not trivial amounts. Compounded over years, they represent transformative differences in capability and outcome. The 7-figure mindset as habituated behavior. One of the most important insights about people who build significant wealth is that their financial behaviors are largely habituated. They do not decide each day whether to invest, whether to review their numbers, whether to work on their most important project. These things happen as automatically as brushing their teeth. This is not a personality trait they were born with. It is a behavioral architecture they built deliberately over time, and it is an architecture you can build too. Chapter 2. The Principles of Effective Habit Stacking. Habit stacking works by attaching new behaviors to existing anchor habits. An anchor habit is something you already do consistently and automatically. You wake up, you make coffee, you check your phone. These are anchor habits around which you can build new behaviors. The basic structure of a habit stack is, after I do this, I will do that. After I pour my morning coffee, I will open my financial dashboard. After I sit down at my desk, I will write my most important task for the day. After I finish lunch, I will spend 10 minutes on professional development. The power of implementation intentions. Research by psychologist Peter Gallwitzer has shown that implementation intentions Specific plans in the form of when and where statements dramatically increase the likelihood that a desired behavior will actually occur. People who create specific implementation intentions for their goals are significantly more likely to achieve them than people who have only the goal itself. Habit stacking is essentially a system for creating implementation intentions at scale. By pre-deciding exactly when and where each desired behavior will occur, you remove the need for in-the-moment decision-making and dramatically increase the probability of consistent execution. Minimal viable versions. One of the most important principles of effective habit building is to make the initial version of a new behavior as small as possible. Not a 30-minute morning review, but a 5-minute scan. Not a full workout, but 5 minutes of movement. Not deep work, but a single sentence on the project. This matters because the primary goal in the early stages of habit development is not the behavior itself. It is the automaticity of the cue and the act of beginning. Once the habit is reliably initiated, expanding the duration and intensity is straightforward. Chapter 3: The High-Value Habit Stack Architecture. A prosperity-oriented daily routine is not a rigid schedule. It is an intentional sequence of high-leverage behaviors built together through habit stacking. Here is how to design one. The Morning Financial Foundation Stack. The morning hours are where many high performers make their most important financial decisions and do their most valuable creative work. A well-designed morning habit stack might look like this sequence. Before you look at your phone, spend 3 minutes reviewing your most important financial or professional goal. After you make your first beverage, spend 5 minutes reviewing key financial metrics or your most important project status. After you sit down to work, spend the first focus block exclusively on your highest value activity. Each of these links an existing anchor behavior to a new high-value behavior. The sequence runs automatically, once established, requiring no decision energy. The knowledge development stack building intellectual assets requires consistent daily investment. A knowledge development stack might attach learning behaviors to transitions in your day. After you finish your lunch, spend 10 minutes reading or studying in your area of expertise. After you complete a major work task, spend 5 minutes documenting a key insight or lesson. After you finish your evening meal, spend 15 minutes on a long-term skill or project you are developing. These micro-investments accumulate into hundreds of hours of deliberate development annually. The relationship and network stack. High-value relationships do not maintain themselves. A network maintenance stack might look like this. After you check your morning messages, spend 5 minutes sending one thoughtful follow-up or connection message. After you have a significant professional interaction, spend 2 minutes documenting who you met and what you discussed. After you complete a project, spend 5 minutes thinking about who should know about it and how to communicate the result. The financial review stack wealth is built through attentiveness, not just activity. A daily financial review stack creates the awareness that supports better financial decisions. After you sit down at your computer in the morning, spend 3 minutes reviewing your accounts or portfolio. After your weekly planning session, spend 15 minutes reviewing your monthly financial progress. After you complete a major purchase decision, document what you bought and why. Chapter 4: Designing your personal prosperity stack. Now that you understand the principles, you can design your own habit stack architecture. Audit your current anchors. Begin by identifying your existing anchor habits. What do you do every morning without fail? What transitions happen reliably in your day? What do you always do before sleep? These anchors are the attachment points for your new habits. Identify your high-leverage behaviors. What are the specific behaviors that would most significantly advance your financial goals if done consistently? These are the behaviors you will be building habits around. Be specific. Not be more financially aware, but review my investment account dashboard. Not work on my skills, but read one chapter of a relevant professional book. Design the stacks match your high leverage behaviors to your anchor habits. Start with 2 or 3 stacks, not 20. The goal is to establish the infrastructure, not to overhaul your entire daily routine at once. Chapter 5. Maintaining and evolving your habit stack. Habits require initial effort to establish, but relatively little effort to maintain once they are running. The challenge is the establishment period. The first 30 days. The first 30 days of a new habit are the most critical and the most fragile. During this period, the habit is not yet automatic. It still requires some conscious intention to initiate. During this phase, make the behavior as frictionless as possible. Lay out what you need the night before. Set reminders if necessary. Make the minimum viable version tiny enough that there is no excuse not to do it. Tracking and accountability. Tracking your habit execution during the establishment phase dramatically increases consistency, not because of the tracking itself, but because of what it does to your identity. Each day you check off a habit, you accumulate evidence that you are the kind of person who does this thing. This identity reinforcement is one of the most powerful mechanisms in habit formation. Evolving the stack. Once a habit is established, it can be expanded and evolved. The 5-minute financial review becomes 10 minutes. The single sentence on the important project becomes a full work block. The one connection message becomes a systematic outreach practice. The habit stack is not a fixed structure. It is a living architecture that evolves as your goals and capabilities evolve. Conclusion. Building the daily life of your future self. The person who builds 7-figure wealth does not just think differently. They live differently, every day, in small ways that compound over time into extraordinary results. Your daily habits are the bridge between your current circumstances and your future vision. They are the most concrete, most actionable, most immediately within your control lever you have for shaping your financial future. The habit stacks you build this week will compound into the financial outcomes you experience 5 and 10 years from now. The consistency you maintain this month will become the capability you possess next year. The architecture you design today will become the life you inhabit tomorrow. Design it well, build it deliberately, and let the compounding begin.